All stories shared on this podcast are based on true events, but names and details have been altered to protect the privacy of those involved. This content is for entertainment and educational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice.
Welcome to Closing Time with the Lone Rangers, the podcast where closing chaos becomes great conversation. I am your host, Jonathan Washburn, and today we are riding with my co-host Andrew Rista and a really cool guy named Evan Whaley from the Whaley Group. Andrew, introduce Evan. Let us know who we're riding with today.
Yeah, he's like high producer in Greenville. So he's got a team.
High producer in Greenville.
He's done a lot of loans. He's seen loans. I forget that we don't call them loans. He's done a lot of transactions. They don't call them loans.
They've never done one of those.
Yeah, you never done a loan? He does a lot of transactions. Good guy. Has an awesome family. And I was like, man, when I was first like, who do I know that's gonna have a crazy story because he's done so much in the area? I was like, it's probably Evan because he's done a lot and seen a lot. His mom, was your mom a real estate agent like your whole life? Or was like, how long was she in? His mom's also an agent, so
my mom actually became an agent after I did, but my mom flipped houses in Sumter, South Carolina, where I'm from. So she's been doing that since before it was popular, before like HGTV started showing everyone that they could do it, that kind of thing, and started to make it seem a lot more amazing than it actually is.
Yeah. So we got him on. We're going to hear one, possibly more than one of his crazy stories. So we'll see how much time we have. But
well, Evan, tell us a little bit about who you are. Tell us a little bit about the Whaley Group. What is it that you guys do? What is it that you guys specialize in? In Andrew's word, what makes you such a big time agent in the upstate there?
I appreciate that. So I guess a little bit about me. Most important things to me are my family. So my wife is an optometrist here in the area. She's originally from Pennsylvania, and we met in Charleston, and we decided to relocate our family here to Greenville. We love Charleston, but Greenville was the right place for us to raise our family with the right values and school systems and all that kind of stuff. So that's a quick part of our journey. And then we have two kids. We have two boys. So we got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. So Jack and Owen. So they're pretty much our world. So that's a little bit about me outside of work, and then inside of work. So I have a team. I'm super fortunate, and I get to work with some amazing people. It's not all me. The success comes from the team that we have. So I've got an awesome transaction manager, Melissa, who's also my executive assistant. Whatever title you want to give her, she pretty much does everything that has to do with anything logistical and keeps us running and keeps us all in line. I've got Anthony on my team, who's a licensed agent, but is really kind of like my partner in the business. He assists me with a lot of buyers. And then Mauricio, who's a newer agent who joined our team. So that's kind of our setup. As far as like clients, like we work a lot with our sphere of influence. And then we've also got a huge relocation base. For whatever reason, I guess because I relocated to Greenville myself, I had to find kind of my footing here. And relocation kind of became my thing. So just about 25 to 30 families we help relocate to the upstate every single year. So it's been a blessing. It's been really cool to kind of do, and we have a lot of fun doing it.
So you met your wife while you were living in Charleston, and you've got a son named Jack. That is awesome. Two things that I can say the same about myself as well. I met my wife when I was living in Charleston, and I've got a son named Jack. What's your favorite restaurant in Charleston? I lived in Charleston for 13 years. It's one of the best food places in the country.
This is a good podcast opener right here.
Oh, man. That is a tough question. The restaurant that jumps out to me immediately is a place called Stella's. So it was a Greek restaurant, and they have absolutely incredible food. I'm sure there's like 10 others. I can remember. Zero George. Have you guys ever been there?
I don't think so.
Great place.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. It is incredible. My wife and I went there. Funny thing about that was the best meal I ever had, except for the appetizer, which was the chef's special. And they gave us a whole bunch of stuff that didn't look like food at all, then told us it was food, and I'm not sure that it was. So I was about to get up and leave, but I'm so glad I didn't, because I had the best food I ever had in my life, I think, following that.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I was just down there last week for my 20-year class reunion, and I went to Magnolia's. Magnolia's is like my it's like my comfort food.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, it's like if you can only go to one place in Charleston, Like go to Magnolia's. It's like Southern. And I'm telling you, you're going to go, like, I'm telling you to go to a nice restaurant, get the fried chicken. Now it's going to be weird. It's weird to go to a nice restaurant where you can get like a delicious steak or like a market special fish. And it's going to be weird that I'm telling you to get the fried chicken. I'm just telling you.
That's funny.
It's the best fried chicken you've ever had. And there's collard greens and there's mashed potatoes on this plate. And it's unbelievable. And
Is that what you got
the
last
fried
week?
chicken, I got the fried chicken at Magnolia's.
Nice.
It's perfect. It's just so good. So yeah, the food scene in Charleston. We should do a whole podcast about this. I mean, next time you come on, Evan, we'll just do our top 10 favorite places to eat in Charleston.
I love it.
That would
That
be
sounds
amazing.
awesome.
That would
I'll be more
probably hit.
prepared.
Yeah, the podcast would hit. It's like we got all these listeners. Like, what are these guys podcast on? Oh, real estate.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just listen to this episode.
So cool. We met in Charleston. Son named Jack. Awesome. Up in Greenville, work in your sphere of influence. Tell us a little bit about, like, is there like a specific type of buyer you like to work with? I know you said you work with a lot of people that are relocating to Greenville. Anything else that you guys really like to specialize there with on the Whaley team?
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of relocation buyers, and of course, people come with different needs. What was kind of surprising to me, a lot of the folks we end up working with, try not to get fair housing language in here, but they tend to be more retirees. So that tends to be a large portion of people, I guess, who are moving this way. You know, we've got a lot of people moving to South Carolina for retirement, and so we help a lot of those folks out. That wasn't necessarily what I envisioned when I first started in real estate. But it's been awesome. They're really cool people. I've gotten to meet so many awesome folks who've done so many really incredible things in their life, and got to hear so many different stories. So that's been a lot of fun, and I've a lot for like personal growth as well.
That's a real diplomatic way of saying the damn Yankees that are moving down from the north that are trying to move down south, right?
Hey, my wife is one of those. So be careful what you say there.
Yeah. That's funny.
No, I'm one of the rare people that moved from Charleston back. I live in Ohio now because I married a girl from Cleveland, Ohio. So now I live up in Ohio. Every time I go back down to Charleston, I tell people like, yeah, I'm the one person you've ever met that lived in Charleston for 15 years, and now I live in Cleveland.
That's
and
awesome.
Like,
Wow.
what are you doing up there? I'm like, well, escape all this traffic every time I go back down there. It's crazy.
You couldn't
How
convince
much
your wife
more-
to go to stay in Charleston?
We lived there for 7 years. It was a great time, but eventually the lure of family, especially once you have kids, it's just it's too great. So we're happy where we are.
Yeah.
Although, I golfed in 74 degrees on Friday in Charleston, and then I
Dude.
returned to snow on Sunday and Monday back up here. So that was it wasn't great, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
One comment I'll make about Evan. He's actually like the second agent, maybe the first or second agent I ever met as a newly licensed loan officer. And one thing about it was kind of like a meeting where it was like, what can I learn from this guy? Because he's already like doing it. He's in our industry. He's not like new. He's been in it, and he's also doing it well, right? And so it was like, what can I learn from him? And I'll never forget how much emphasis he put on like, most of my clients don't come like from really like purchasing leads or like using any special. So I mean, they do have like a really good YouTube channel on their team, but most of his leads come from people that he's already helped. And he emphasized like, it is so important to us that we do such a good job that they are going to tell the people, because everyone talks about like, oh yeah, my friends and family, they'll work with me, like, and I'll have clients that love me, but his emphasis and intentionality on, when I work with someone, we have to be so, we have to be so about them because we care and we care about people, but also in order to keep our business strong, each client has to be treated a certain way so that they feel like, wow, Evan's team is trustworthy, and then we can trust our friends and family with Evan's team. Like I'd heard a lot, and I'd talked to a few agents, and then I heard this, and then I like talked to other agents, and I realized like how different, like a lot of people in our industry, they're like buying leads, cold calling, all of the different things to do. And he was very much like, hey, it's all about the client experience for us. And I've adopted so much of that and like tried to infuse it into lending to try to get that. So really cool about their team. I'd say most of your stuff is, like either from
Yeah.
YouTube or friends and
That's pretty much it.
referrals.
The other
Yeah.
couple deals that we just happen to fall into, just sign calls, that kind of thing. But just a little bit to elaborate on that. There's a couple different books out there. Like one of the most impactful, I think, there's a book called The Power of Moments, and essentially what it goes through in that is there's like a peak and a valley for every experience. And as we know in the real estate industry, there are some valleys in this transaction that people go through that are absolutely outside of our control. There's so many different parties, there's so many different people that are involved in this. And what we have to do is, how do we figure out a way to keep our clients calm through this? And how do we bring them out of that valley and give them a really good experience? And how do we elevate those highs? Like, people are trusting us with pretty much the biggest decision they'll ever make in their life, and moving is stressful, let's face it. So what can we do to make that process more seamless? What can we do to get ahead of things? And how can we really treat people really well? Like, if your grandmother were making a move, what are all the things that you would want to do for her? So that's like how we envisioned our transaction process. And, we're always tweaking it and modifying it to give people what we call wow experiences.
Yeah. I would say
Awesome.
that piece, and then one more thing I want to throw in there, really cool. Just being partnered with Evan this year, his team does client events. So I've been to 2 of the 3 client events. And when you get to host people
Yeah.
and hang out with their family and do something fun. I think we went skating. We were in a skating rink once,
Yeah.
and then we had like an adults event at like it was like a social place where they had games and kind of like
throwing.
kind of like Dave and Buster's, but like classier. Not like the.
We were in a strip mall. Let's
Yeah,
throw that out
for
there.
sure.
We weren't in some fancy high class place now.
Yeah, but it was so cool to see like, oh, if I am successful in this business as I grow, like the amount that I can give back to people is so fun. It's so fun to go to those events. Everyone's pumped to be there. Like they're hanging out with people they've never met before, or their family's there, and we're skating. It's just a good time, and I was like, man, this is fun. Like at a different level of lending. So yeah, it was cool. Good time for sure.
And it's really cool because at our last event, we had several clients that have relocated from the area, and of course, they're trying to build their friend group and everything. And they were in the same stage of life, so they connected with each other, and several of them exchanged numbers, and that's a lot of fun. We also do a water park event every year, which selfishly, like my kids absolutely love that.
Yeah.
My son's done that since he was 2, and he talks
Nice.
about it every year. He loves being able to shut the water park down. So a lot of really cool and fun stuff that we get to do, and just kind of live life and stay engaged with our clients.
Yep.
Very cool.
For sure.
All right, so now it's time for the good stuff. Evan is going to tell us 1 or maybe 2 of his craziest closing stories, 1 or 2 of his craziest transactions. Okay, so before we get into it, quick reminder for our listeners. All of the names and details for these stories have been changed to protect the innocent or the not so innocent. So this story or these stories will be based on real events, but will be using fictional names that are Western themes because Andrew and I are the Lone Rangers, right? So the names will be crazy Western names like Buck Rollins or Deputy Doc Draws, just to keep things fun and compliant. And Evan, if you can't think of clever, creative Western themed names for the people in your story, Andrew and I will help you. So
specialty, coming up with Western names,
I think I'm gonna leave it to the professionals on picking the Western names. I think you guys know how to nail this. So if you guys want to give me a female name, that would be awesome.
Okay, John, what
Andrew,
you got?
One?
I know you've got. I mean, we've used Mabel. Have we used Dixie? Has that been used on a?
Let's go with Dixie.
Yeah.
All right.
We got Dixie, and can you give me a male's name?
Yeah. Let's go with Dixie. And let's go with Dixie and Buck. Buck is a classic. All right, Dixie classic. And Buck.
All right.
All right. So Dixie and Buck are our characters for today's story. Evan, take it away.
All right, so I'll tell you a little bit about Dixie and Buck. And I told these guys before we started this podcast that every real estate professional out there, I think I've tried to block all these things out of my memory. You know, you forget some of the
The
things that
pain.
you've
Yeah.
done and you try to just move on from the pain. But let's talk about Dixie and Buck a little bit. So this one was more recent and
Recent,
basically,
like 1885,
yeah,
1886.
like
Yeah.
1776. Yeah,
Perfect.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good year.
Yeah, that sounds like a great year.
Yeah.
I know nothing about the year history, so this will be fun telling this story. But so,
Yeah.
anyways, we're helping them out, and they decide they want to look at some places. They're moving, as I mentioned before. I'm big with helping people relocate to the area, so they're getting to know Greenville. We're working with them for a while, helping them explore different areas. Really sweet, great couple. And they kind of decide to put things on pause a little bit. Unfortunately, they are moving from another area, Plymouth Rock. I mean,
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
moving from Plymouth to Yosemite, so
Yeah,
they're
to
moving out
Yosemite.
west. Yeah.
Got it.
So
They
they're
are
moving
original
from-
settlers of this country.
Original
Yeah,
settlers.
Yes.
originals. So they're
Beautiful.
moving and they're having a little bit of an issue with their house. Thankfully, I'm working with a great loan officer who might or might not be sitting in this room. And he's able to get them approved, and it has some great opportunities and options for them that they feel comfortable with. But they're having a lot of trouble with their house back in Plymouth. So we're going through all that. They kind of put the brakes on things for a little bit, and then they pick things back up a couple months later. So as we're going out, we're seeing places. We finally find a home that they really like. We go under contract on this house after some negotiating back and forth. It's one of those like 3-day, 4-day, like knock them out, drag them out, like we're fighting over $1,000 kind of negotiation. So we eventually go under contract, and then we get to repairs. This house was done by someone who flipped it, and overall, most of the stuff was pretty good. You could see surface level. It wasn't anything super, super crazy on the inspection, but there was a couple items on there that we really needed to make sure got taken care of. So we put our inspection report together. We finally get all parties to come together on an agreement. I advise my clients, I say, hey, we kind of know that the house is pretty good, but we did see some areas where maybe they didn't hire the highest quality of contractors. Let's just take
Yikes.
that as a potential pattern here. We try to negotiate a credit at first because my thought is I'd much rather have my clients be able to pick and choose who's going to do the work for them than the sellers who may pick a lower rate contractor. But they weren't willing to agree to that. So we go, okay, but we're going to re-inspect and we need to make sure the work is done correctly. So we do our re-inspection. They didn't get the work done until very close to the very end of the process. So we do a re-inspection, we get the results back 24 hours before closing, and then we find out that there was an issue with the siding. They were supposed to replace some siding, and it wasn't done correctly. Our contractor tells us that, so then I have to like scramble. I got to call in every favor that I've ever called in my life and get a siding contractor out there. Siding contractor comes out and basically says, yeah, this was done terribly. This is awful. This is really bad. And all the siding on the house needs to be replaced. This is
Hold
like
up. All right. So just to clarify, so several repairs have had to be done on this house.
Yes.
And it seems like they've made several of them for you.
Yep.
But now the last one that needed to be done was some siding. You have the siding go inspected, and not only was the siding that was repaired not done properly, but all of the siding on the entire house needs to be repaired according to your inspector.
And I guess I should elaborate on that. So the siding company basically said that was the ideal scenario. You could get away with replacing it. Like the inspector didn't like completely fail or anything of that nature. It was more the siding company was like, hey, yeah, we can replace this and do it much better than the previous people did because this is bad. They did it upside down. This isn't, this isn't gonna work. So we're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That checks out. And but they were like,
so real quick, so like I'm not a siding guy, but if siding is put like if siding is put upside down, I assume like could like leaks come in and like just like damage the entire house. I'm assuming that would like be potentially one thing
basically,
that would happen.
And I'll elaborate, I guess, a little bit more on what happened. So there was a company who did like concrete plank siding, like hardy boards, what everyone kind of calls it is the term. and this company they had a massive lawsuit that ended up happening against them where the things weren't installed correctly, so it started to create gaps in the siding, which meant you can get water penetration. Really, we had issues on the one side, so that was where the repairs came in. That was why the inspector said, hey, this doesn't quite look right. They tried to, kind of put something together and it just looked terrible and it wasn't done correctly, and that was kind of the big trigger and alert. You can't really tell what kind of siding it is because it's all painted and it all kind of looks the same. So the inspector didn't know, and the siding guy, when he did come out there for us after that was all looked into, said, yeah, this is this kind of siding, and really there was a big issue with it. And that was where he said, my recommendation is just to get rid of all of it, because while the rest of it was technically fine at that point, his thought is, based on my experience, this stuff fails over time. So my clients at that point, of course, they're moving from Plymouth. They're in a lot of stress. They've got 3 kids. They're basically like, is this God's sign of saying that we don't need to buy this house? This seems terrible. This is awful.
And Hardy Board doesn't even really exist in Plymouth where they're from.
Yeah,
like they don't know.
They've never even heard of it before.
Yeah.
This is a new age invention.
Right.
They thought they'd be buying a stone house, I guess. But
I was gonna make a comment on this one too. I think this is a deal which I try to communicate with our listing agents. So I communicated with the listing agent. I don't know if you remember this, but their house had come back with a little bit of equity in the appraisal. And
I think this one's actually pretty high in the equity.
Yeah,
because
high.
he negotiated a good deal.
He got a good negotiation, and then the real estate agent, the listing agent, we'll call him the prospector. The prospector called me, or I called him, and repair negotiations had not been complete, and he was like, "Hey, man, that was a pretty sweet appraisal, wasn't it?" And he was just.
Oh yeah, he was fishing to figure out what the appraisal came back at. And of course, neither one of us revealed.
I was like,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Like, yeah, man.
Add value.
Yeah. So how's your day? We're good. Yeah, the appraisal's great. So what's up? And yeah, it was. I forgot that even happened on this one, but that because you had told me the next day, I was like, yeah, man, he was just being really weird, and you were like, oh, well, we haven't finished repair negotiations, and I was like, oh, geez, here we are, yeah. So
all right, so it's the day before closing.
Day before closing, so I'm up until midnight, essentially trying to figure this out. I'm talking to my clients, trying to calm them down, reassure them we'll get this all figured out. I'm trying to figure out how we get this figured out, because of course we can't change the siding and close the next day. That's not going to be possible. So we got a quote from the siding company. We were able to got the sellers to pay for all of the siding. That was the only way my clients were going to go to closing. So we got them to replace all the siding. We had to put a little cushion in there because he didn't even get a chance to actually go out and fully measure. Like, he was just coming out on a favor and was basically like, I'm here. I've got like 30 minutes in between my next appointment. Here's kind of what I think it'll be. And I basically say, just don't charge my clients a penny more, please, because we need you to take care of them. So thankfully, we were able to stay up till midnight, talk to the agent the next morning. We negotiated out a credit. They paid for all the siding to be replaced for our clients. One detail I did forget, because you mentioned the appraisal, which this is like a drop in the bucket. Basically, we're in South Carolina. We're in Greenville. It rains a lot of humidity here. Every single wood door jamb to the exterior gets rot at the very bottom of it. They called that out on the CL 100, and then we did find out that we needed to get that fixed a couple days before closing, and then we had to have, a license. What's the structural engineer? I don't remember, but they wouldn't just take it from the person who did the repair. I don't remember what it was.
It was like a license inspection or something. Yeah.
So but that was small potatoes compared to getting the siding issue fixed.
So the day before closing, you get the entire house worth of siding negotiated to be completely replaced for your clients. Evan Whaley, ladies and gentlemen, this is the guy you want. This is the guy you want negotiating your deals in the upstate of South Carolina.
For sure, yeah.
So how close was there a point in this, in like the 24 hours before closing, that you thought like Buck and Dixie are not going to be moving into this house? Like they might be walking away. Like what
He
did it
texted
ever
me.
get that close or?
Yeah, from my perspective, I got a text from him like I'm done, right? Like I've got my little loan, my CRM.
Loan is
I've got
clear to close.
yeah,
You're
it's
counting
already
your
moved from
commission.
clear to
Yeah.
close. Yeah.
He's talking to me about closing gifts, and I'm over there panicking. Over
Yeah.
that.
I'm like, hey man, do you think they want cookies or cheesecake tomorrow? And he's like, so I don't know if we're closing. And like it's like tomorrow, like it's like 4 p.m. And I'm like texting Alice. I'm like, well, that loan I told you we got cleared, just never mind. So yeah, it was a good time. Crazy time.
Yeah,
for
I think
sure.
I sent you back a text and said, if there's any kind of modifications, will we be able to still get this loan closed in the morning? You're like, depending on what it is, I think we might be able to do it.
I was like, yeah, I think we're good. He was like, yeah, man, I'll let you know. And then he just texted me randomly, like, yeah, we're probably not gonna close. And I was like, and then it was like another text. It was like, okay, I think we got it figured out. And I was like, I'm just like going through it, and I'm like, poor Evan's going through it, and yeah, we talked multiple times on the phone, and I could like hear the pain of like, yeah.
So I think we've all been in this situation. I'm just curious how each of you handles this. You're in the situation where you're really close or maybe even finished with your part of a transaction, and your borrower is having second thoughts to some extent about, I don't want to go through with this purchase. How do you handle this in your relationship with this borrower when, selfishly you just want them to go through with this?
It's a great
but
question.
you're trying to hear them and, give them the best counsel that you can and steward that relationship with them to the best of your ability. What are your thoughts? What are you going through? What's on your mind while you're handling these relationships with your clients?
Good question.
I think it depends on where that response is coming from.
Yep.
They say moving's the second most stressful thing you ever deal with in your life. Next to the most stressful, apparently, is losing a very close loved one. So we sometimes get like a stress response that is not a true, actual, legitimate, logical, I'm not going to move forward. And then we also can get like, hey, my life has just totally changed and this no longer makes sense for me. So how you handle that conversation is very different depending on which of those two. And, I've always, I kind of got the philosophy early in real estate. I think someone told me this before, like, you don't have a paycheck until you're at the closing table and they hand it to you. So I try not to count anything as a check for me. And I always try to think about like, no matter, like, I've always found that does it stink? Like, hey, you get all the way to the end. You've done everything you can. Likely you've worked with this client for months, and we've all been there where it doesn't close. But that only comes back to you tenfold as long as you do the right thing. Like, put yourself in the person's shoes and figure out like, hey, if someone just went through a really big hardship in their life and they no longer can they're not going to move to the area for whatever reason, or they don't feel like they have the financial ability to afford the house anymore, or something just significantly changed in their life. Like, I think be a human and realize that you trying to force them to buy that house is actually going to be a very negative thing. Like, as he mentioned, like, most of our business comes from people who know, like, and trust us. And you're not going to get that business if you're just trying to force people in so you can get a commission check. Like, every person can see that coming a mile away. So just do the right thing.
Yeah, I think it does depend, like you said, on different clients, because some clients are like, it's like almost like, are you going to regret backing out more, or are you going to regret buying the house more? Like, where also we have a duty to, like, once we're that far in the process, like, protect them. Like, hey, I just
legally
need
too
to know, like, here's where we're at. Like, we're not trying to force you in any sense of the word to go through with anything, but here's path to not go through. Here's path to go through. Here's like your options. But yeah, I think it is 100% a client by client basis, because there's some people who do get nervous I've talked to a client one night and they're like, we can't buy this house. And then it's like, we talked to them the next morning and they're like, we talked through it. We feel good.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
it's like just trying to help those people, like care about them, walk them through that. Cause it's also hard and we really have to, I really have to drill down in my head, you know, like I handle pre-approvals every single day. But our clients, it's their first pre-approval, right? Like you and I, John, have talked about this before. I think on the podcast, like we do this every day. Clients do it once every 12 years.
They might do it 4 times in their life.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that's
I
good.
love
Good question.
Evan, I love what you said about asking them questions. Figuring out, you know, what's the source of their angst, right?
Yeah.
I read a book a long time ago and it had nothing to do with real estate, but it was really all about having conversations with people that you're disagreeing with. And it advised asking these 2 questions when you're disagreeing with people. What do you mean by that? And how did you come to that conclusion?
Yeah.
And I've found that those 2 questions can so many times offer so much insight into, you know, in a situation like this. I don't want to buy this house, right? The repairs are too big, right? What do you mean by that? And how did you come to that conclusion?
Yeah.
And oftentimes the way they answer those questions, you'll find out, oh, they're just scared, right? Walk through the facts. You're buying a great house. You're getting lots of equity. You're right. And you can walk through that. Yeah. Or sometimes their fears are very warranted and justified, right? And maybe it's time, we need to cut bait, right? But you're just like learning exactly what the source of that anxiety is so that you can answer the next questions without just like, you know, assuming that you know exactly what their struggles are and what their worries are. Absolutely. Is you know, kind of the most important thing.
And
so Evan,
to go to that specific scenario real quick, one of the questions I remember asking them as you said that, and that's a great segue. Those are 2 great questions that I'll make sure that I always think about. I asked them, so let's take this situation with the siding off the table. Let's just say the siding is perfect. It's fixed. You've got everything you need. Is this still the right house for you? Is this still where you want to be? Is this where you want to send your kids to school? Is this still the place that feels like home for you? And they both said, yeah, absolutely. It's just this. And I said, okay, so what we're dealing with is the stress of this particular situation. So if we can solve that, we still feel good about moving forward, right? And they're like, yeah. And then so we solved the issue and got them into the house.
Cool.
Beautiful. Yeah. Great work. So Evan, I know we got to wrap it up here. Tell us a little bit, if somebody is in the upstate of South Carolina and they really want to work with Evan Whaley and the Whaley Group, how do they get a hold of you? What's the best way to contact you, find you, reach out to you and your team?
Yeah. So my number is 803-669-1919. And sorry, all my upstate folks, I got my numbers confused when I started and I just kind of hit the ground running. I've had an 803 number since I was a kid. So I kept that one and got too far into it. But so that way, or, you know, we've got our YouTube channel and it has email and ways to contact us and all that on there. But if people want to learn more, if they're listening from another area and thinking about relocating to Greenville, that's a good resource for them.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, everybody, I hope you really enjoyed this podcast. Evan, what advice would you give to any new real estate agents who thinks that every deal is supposed to go perfectly?
If you get one of those, that'll probably be your only one for the year. So no, I mean, of course you get some that are easier, and it's funny, we have one that is moving along really well right now, and my transaction manager said, this one's too easy. She's like, this one's just flying by. And I said, why did you say that? It's like, get out of the office now. It's like,
knock on every piece of wood available.
This is your fault.
Oh man.
No, but you know, you get some easy ones, but overall, I mean, I always tell people on our team, we get paid to solve problems. If this were super easy and everything were streamlined, like there wouldn't really be a need for us. Like we're here to solve people's problems, or we're here to help them through the process. And, you know, honestly, real estate's a lot of fun, and, you know, hopefully for this new person listening, you'd have lots of success. And if I can help in any way, I'd be happy to.
Awesome.
Yeah. How many loans have you done, John? That are perfect. You get the perfect loan.
I have a refi that's going pretty well right now.
Oh geez, knock on some wood, dude.
I think that's the first one maybe this year. But yeah, I don't know.
It's my second deal ever 2 years ago. It was perfect. nice
Oh,
and
man.
easy. Haven't had one since. So yeah,
God likes to do that for your first ones, I find. They lure you in. You're like, oh yeah, this is great.
yeah. This is so easy.
Yeah, this is easy peasy. What
I
are
didn't
you
even
talking
do that
about?
much work on
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Well, everyone should check back in on our next podcast, and we'll see what happened to this refi that I'm
To your
doing right now.
refi.
And yeah, we'll see how that blew up in my face.
Yeah.
So, well, Evan, thank you again for riding with us today
Absolutely.
on the
Thank
Lone
you.
Rangers and sharing a story that proves why we do this podcast in the first place. Every episode, we're hearing stories from loan officers, agents, title professionals that remind us that getting to the closing table is never boring.
Yes.
So next week, we'll be joined by someone else. And I promise, well, hopefully it will get just as wild. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, share it with someone in the industry, and leave us a review. Until next time, I'm Jonathan Washburn, and this has been Closing Time with the Lone Rangers, where the only thing crazier than the interest rates is the stories.
See you guys.
See ya.